When you're the premiere horror movie Halloween weekend, you got one of two choices. You can either swing for the fences with something original, or you can play it safe with something you've seen before. There's pros and cons to either one, but when it comes to this movie, that's what I'm here to talk about today, so let's get to it. After seeing a global rise in demonic possessions, the Roman Catholic Church reopened schools to train priests to perform exorcisms. Although nuns are forbidden to perform this ritual, a professor recognizes Sister Anne's gifts and agrees to train her. But she's immediately thrust onto the spiritual front line as she battles for the soul of a young girl who's possessed by the same demon that tormented her mother years earlier. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. In my reviews, I discuss what I liked, what I didn't like, and then my overall thoughts. But this review is going to be a little bit different because I can't really run down bullet points on what I liked about this movie. Because in all honesty, I probably shouldn't like this movie. Possession movies are pretty much all the same to me, which is why it's my least favorite subgenre in horror. But I'm not saying to go into this movie thinking you're going to see something original. This movie is full of cliches, full of things you've seen before. The story's going to go pretty much where you think it's going to go. But even with all of that, I still like this movie. I honestly would not be surprised if this is one of the most positive reviews you see about this movie on YouTube, but for me, this is a perfect example about how art is subjective. Is this a very original story? No. Are there compelling characters that you get attached to? Not at all. Is this a movie that's going to go down in history as top tier horror? Absolutely not. But even with all that, I don't know why, but I still liked it. Now, one thing that this movie does undeniably have going for it is the possession scenes. They really went for it in those scenes, and the lack of blood and gore is the only reason this movie wasn't rated R, because it probably should have been. For me, the fact that this is the nun doing the exorcisms is a pretty interesting starting off point, especially when you factor in that usually it's not the nuns that are doing this type of stuff. And at no point did I ever feel bored watching this movie, which is a really big thing that happens to me when I watch exorcism movies. Now, as far as the writing goes, there are leaps in logic. There are things in regards to the story that only happen to progress the story, but you can really say that about any exorcism movie. At this point, I don't walk into these movies expecting any type of excellence when it comes to the storytelling. I just walk into these movies wondering how they're going to portray the exorcism and the possession scenes, and this movie did a pretty good job of that. So in conclusion, the acting was okay, the story was okay. There's a twist in the third act that I'm pretty sure everybody's going to swear they saw coming a mile away. Me personally, I didn't see it coming, but I think it's because I wasn't really invested in the storyline, so I wasn't trying to go through the movie piecing stuff together. But what I will say though is that when the twist does come, it's pretty stupid. Primarily because you didn't need it. It's presented like this big reveal, but it really has no consequence on the plot. If you took that out of the movie, it wouldn't have changed a thing. On a positive note though, I did like the possession and the exorcism scenes, and it was enough for me to walk out of this movie entertained. And like I said before, this movie isn't for everyone. It's actually barely for anyone. But even with all the things telling me how I shouldn't like this movie, I'd be lying if I told you I walked out disliking it. Because I actually didn't. Yeah, I know that sounds weird, but like I said, art is subjective. All that being said, I'd say this movie is worth the watch. So that's my review of Pray for the Devil. If you've seen it already, what did you think? It's going to be really easy to say in the comments why you didn't like it. But if you did like it, maybe you could do a better job than I did of explaining why. Thanks for watching. If you like what you've seen, hit that thumbs up and click that subscribe button to see what's coming next.